It's hard to believe that you're only 18 years old and you've been told you'll spend the rest of your life in this facility.
What I believe is it's possible that I could be here the rest of my life. I'm working on my appeal to this day. But you say me 18, there's people here 16 years old with natural lives. 17. That ain't having established nothing in the world, but growing up. And they stuck in here with a natural life, It needs to change. Something has to change.
There's some mothers out there that their sons may be buried, and sometimes I feel like that with Corey, that it's a part of me, I feel like, because he's so much of him being so much taken away from him, from being incarcerated for the rest of his life.
Sometimes you feel like he's dead?
Well, a part of him, because he's out, he's not out here in the real world like he would say it, and he's missing out on a whole lot.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Y'all know what time it is. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. It's your boy Inspires the Block. As my Twitter handles on IG and also Twitter, you can find me there. Please check your boy out. Also, too, you already know I'm the co-host of the Brown Paper Bag podcast, which is every Monday at 7 p.m. And also the Purple Pill Politic every Wednesday at 7 p.m. right on Libre TV, and also broadcasting live on Periscope. Listen, everybody, I apologize for last week. I had a few things I had to do, so that's why y'all didn't get a live broadcast. But at the same time, your boy is back. And, man, I got a banger this week. I got a banger. I got somebody that I'm bringing on. This is like a brother from another mother. And we're going to just drop some jewels and some science on y'all. And, I hope that y'all can take away what we intend for you to have with it. Once again, y'all already know that Corrected Felon Podcast is all about inspiration, information, and mobilization, because you need something from time to time that's going to make you think and stimulate your level of thinking to the next level. So, real quick before I bring on my guest, I just want to give some quick shout outs real quick to the Libre family. Everybody, y'all go support them. You got my boy Jonesy over there, who Wasted Talent Podcast, Aquarian Anarchy, and also to the Blue Collar Intellectual. Go support everything that we do. Also, this audio will be available tomorrow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And also, too, you can catch the replay on Libre TV and also Periscope. So, also, too, on those platforms, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share. Show your boy some love. Damn. I'm trying to take this thing global. So go ahead, quit bullshitting, show some love to your boy. Now, what I want to do is give a quick introduction, because the person I'm about to bring on, because we're about to have a fire conversation. And this guy who I'm bringing on, like I said, it's like a brother from another mother. I've been knowing this guy damn near 30 years. Our lives are a mirror to each other. The only thing difference is our skin color, but we know that don't really mean shit nowadays, right? So I want to bring on my brother, like I say, Flint representing 810, big dog status, my brother Mark.
What's up? How we doing?
Man, what's going on, my brother?
Oh man, I was looking at some of the footage before you let me come on, and man, I remember doing that same interview. Like they had to come get us both pretty much at the same time
Yeah.
down in the basement at the Hill.
Yup, at the Hill, at MR. You damn sure right
Yeah,
about that.
and
I knew I was gonna kind of boss, especially my reaction, that courtroom reaction. I knew you was gonna see that.
I was because I was there with the afterward, with when they brought you back, and you know, I had to look out for my dog. I had to make sure he was taken care of.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
Real quick, but I want you to just give a brief introduction, just of you. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? However you want to put it.
My name is Mark Smith. I'm 43 years old. I just got out of prison after serving 25 years. The first 24, I was serving life without parole. You know as well as I do, we did a lot of it together. Even when we weren't at the same place, we were still together. We always kept in contact. Like you said, that's my brother. I love him. I've been out 6 months, and I believe the same thing that you believe, that this has got to stop. This has got to change. I got out under different circumstances than you, but God willing, we both did make it and get out. The way that I did was because I was a juvenile when I committed my crime. I had to be resentenced because there was no longer a mandatory sentence for the life without parole.
Yeah.
Now, I'm one of the fortunate ones of the 363 that have to still, that have to be resentenced. I think the number is like only 170 of that has been. And and it's guys that, 30, 40 years served and are still waiting, and hopefully our voices can help change that.
I agree, and especially just to show that, we're not irreplaceable, that we don't fit in this society just based on what we're doing now.
Right.
And I'm glad you touched on that, because it was an article, right? And I remember when the Supreme Court first started overturning something. I'm gonna put something up on the screen real quick, okay? And I'll let you touch on it after I just read the caption of it.
Yep.
And it says prosecutor wants life sentences upheld in 23 juvenile life murder cases, right?
I was one of them.
Exactly. And what I want you to do is just explain that whole what was going on with this particular article and why they wanted, these particular 23 cases to still serve life without parole.
Okay. There's only 27 total in Genesee County. So of the 27, they still wanted to seek life without parole on 23 of the 27. When this article came out, they were given 180 days to decide whether to seek life or have the Miller hearing and let the judge give them a set number, 25 to 40 on the minimum, 60 on the max. No matter what, every juvenile lifer gets resentenced to a 60-year max. So, like, I was resentenced to 28 plus the 2 for the felony firearm to 60. So I had basically a 30 to 60. I had 5 years good time. I got out after 25, almost to the day. If they wouldn't have pushed my date back 1 week, I would have went home on the day that I was locked up.
Wow.
It's not every county doing it, but like Genesee County, as we both know, they didn't want to budge.
No, they don't.
And honestly, it took me hiring a paid attorney to get them to budge.
Wow.
I had to hire an attorney, and she went and talked to the prosecutor and the judge and was like, look, you're not going to get life again by the standards of what the Miller hearing says. So you might as well just not waste the city and the county and the court's time holding him up, and just let's make a deal, basically.
Now, explain the Miller hearing. Explain that real quick.
The Miller hearing is where, like, okay, life without parole used to be a mandatory sentence. Didn't matter how old you are or what. The Miller hearing is the mitigating factors into what and why you committed the crime you committed or were convicted of, and what you've done since then. So they want to know, okay, because you were sentenced to life in prison, what did you do? Did you go in and act a fool? Or did you, grow up and, get an education, learn a trade? I was fortunate. Unlike a lot of other people, I had family support throughout my whole incarceration. My mom passed away 5 years before I got out, so she didn't get to see it. But I had family there the whole time, so that helped. Some of the mitigating factors were, not in my specific case, but for just in general, your age at the time of the offense. Were there older co-defendants involved that manipulated or pressured you to do what you did? Was there child abuse, sex abuse as you were younger? Your family life, all that couldn't be taken into account before, but had to be taken into account now.
Now, is the Miller case, that was a United States Supreme Court case?
Yeah, he's out of, I think the actual Miller is out of Florida, but it went to the United States Supreme Court.
Okay.
Now, depending on what your mitigating factors were, would depend on, if you went all the way through the hearing, what the judge would sentence you to. And again, they held a lot of stuff that you do and did after you were incarcerated against you as well. Now, I didn't have to have the Miller hearing because they, ended up, my attorney got them to work a negotiation. I don't want to say a deal, but a negotiation where they wanted to give me 40. They went for the max, so she went for the minimum. And then, they came together one day and was like, look, what do we got to do to make this happen? Because you're right, we don't want to waste the court's time, because my attorney told me that had I had the Miller hearing, I probably would have got 25, the absolute minimum. My judge didn't even want to give me the 60-year max. The prosecutor had to remind her to give me the 60-year max. She was good with just the 28 plus the 2, and I would have actually maxed out, and I wouldn't even be on parole right now.
Okay.
But that would have also gave them reason to keep appealing had she not given it to me.
Okay.
So she did her job, he did his job. I'm not mad about it. I'm home now. The only way that ever comes into play is if I was to ever go back, which I'm not going to.
No, not even to visit nobody.
Right, no. I try not to even drive by. When I go down 69, I get off before the prison and take back roads, so I ain't even got to see it. I don't want to see that sign that says, do not pick up hitchhikers.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me ask you this real quick, because my audience know that I had life without parole, right?
Right.
And I went through a series of appeals till I ultimately got out. Let me ask you this, because at one point in time, I think we both shared the same idea that it seemed kind of bleak for a moment, right?
Definitely.
Especially when those years, you start doing those years, right?
Well, and after the first couple of appeals, because I appealed, I went all the way up as far as, the only thing I never appealed was my 6500 motion, and we was saving that just in case the sentencing hearing went bad. But especially after like the Court of Appeals and then the state Supreme Court comes back and they deny you, and we're young and we're thinking like, man, they keep saying no. What there's especially with yours, like that should have never made it past the Court of Appeals.
I agree.
But again, it's Michigan, and it did. Yeah. And things got rough. Yeah. Having to grow up, and especially how we started and where we started, having to watch your back all the time. Not knowing and being. I know I was naive.
We all were
immature.
We all were.
Not knowing who I could and couldn't trust, and having to learn real fast who you should and shouldn't trust. But yeah, it got bleak. I had moments I always try to say that, you know, I don't get depressed because that's more of a thing of mine because it runs in my family. I and everybody that in my family that has had it that's been their excuse or their crutch for being pieces of shit.
Yeah.
So I don't let that affect me like it normally does, you know, or like it has other family members. But I mean, to say that there weren't days when I wasn't down and was just like, man, how am I going to get through this?
No,
How am I going to do this? But then I go get on the phone and I call my mom, and you know, she's like, "What's up? What are you
Yeah.
doing? I'll be there this weekend."
Man, you know, and that's another thing that we both share is that my mother passed 2 years before I got out. Right.
Yeah, I know, man.
You know, and explain, because I've told my story multiple times, and explain how, you know, how you had to deal with that. Even like both our mothers knew we were getting out.
Right.
That was the beauty, right? That was the beauty.
That was something that was comforting,
Yeah.
is that she knew. And I'll tell you a little story about when she passed. The day before she passed, we had her. They had her at the house. She wanted out of the hospital. Said, "I'm not dying in the hospital. I'm not dying in a home. Take me to my home. Take
Yeah.
me home. I want to die in my own fucking house."
My mother was the same way.
So they took her home. She had one of them hospital beds in the living room, set up pictures everywhere on every wall so she could see everybody. And my sister-in-law walked into the living room, and my mom was like sitting up and just talking away, chatting away.
Uh-huh.
And my sister-in-law was like, "Ma, who you talking to?" She's like, "Are you fucking blind? I'm talking to my son." And now my older brother, his wife, her husband, he was out in the dining room. So my sister-in-law is like, "Chris is out there." She's like, "No, not Chris. I'm talking to my favorite son."
Yeah. Yeah, we become that.
And she's like, I'm talking to Mark." And my sister-in-law said that she kind of looked at my mom and looked at the bed, and where my mom was fixated at was that, like, I was sitting right there on the edge, just having a conversation with her. That helped comfort me when she passed. It's still the hardest thing
It is.
that I ever had to deal with.
Man, who you
You know,
telling?
Yeah. Being told you're gonna go serve life in prison doesn't compare to losing your mom.
It don't. No, it's a hole in your heart that you can never feel. Like,
Yeah,
you know.
especially when, you know, in our circumstance. I didn't get to be there. The last visit I had was actually on Mother's Day. She passed in August. Mother's Day before that, so May before that, she came to see me, and then she just got so bad that she couldn't make it down anymore. But
You know what? Real quick, mine is very similar to that. Like my mother, her last dying days, she had to come see me.
right,
Like, she had people drive her, to the prison. I was in Carson City at the time.
okay,
And it's in my introduction. Like that picture, literally on my introduction, is the last time I saw my mother.
okay. I got one
Alive.
too, where we got one taken that day on Mother's Day, and like I was at Coldwater. That's a 3.5-hour drive. And because she was going through chemo and radiation and all that,
My mother was too.
she only got to sit in there for like 45 minutes before she started getting sick. And actually, you know, like she had to go to one of the trash cans in the vision room and throw up, and was like, "I'm sorry, son, but I can't stay any longer." And I was like, no, you know, thank you, but no, go home, get, you know, I probably said get better, but you know, that obviously didn't happen.
Yeah.
It hit me hard. It hit me to the point to where I was like, you know what? I know I'm supposed to be getting resentenced, but in my mind, I was like, let a motherfucker get wrong with me, and I'm gonna tear some shit up.
Man, you tell it.
I'm gonna
'Cause
let all this shit out, and they're gonna really regret fucking with me on this day.
Yep.
I even gave myself a deadline, and like we was talking about earlier with the dog program, I even gave myself a deadline that if they didn't, I'd already been approved but hadn't gotten the job. I had already told myself if they didn't have me in this program by a certain date, that I was gonna blow that prison. And a week after she passed, they put me in the dog program.
Wow.
So that's why I said when I said it saved my life, that's what I mean, because I would have done something stupid.
Yeah.
I was very close with my mom. I am still.
I already know. I know your mother, like you know mine.
Yes.
You know.
We've shared visits with each other.
Exactly.
Um.
And I share that because like I remember when I got the call. Matter of fact, let me take that back. I was in MTF level 1. Let me take that back. When I got the call, they was like, they call you to the counselor's office.
Right.
Frazier, we got some disturbing news for you. I'm like, what? Because I knew she was sick, but
Right.
I didn't want to accept the reality that this was about to be the call, right? Because I had just talked with her like the day before, and it was like, your mother passed. And I literally, my reaction was, I was inside the counselor's office. And it just so happened I had a female counselor, so she was very sympathetic and empathetic.
Right.
I literally put my face in my shirt, dropped down on the floor,
Yep.
with my back against the wall, and cried.
Yeah.
And like I was a full-grown man, but at the same time, it's like that pain, especially those circumstances, when you're in prison.
Oh man.
And you lose your mother, it's like you feel so hopeless. You feel like you let them down. You feel like a piece of shit. I could not have made better decisions to be there for him. Disappointment, everything. And those the early stages, just like you. Within a matter of about minutes after I pulled myself together, I got so much rage now.
Yeah.
I'm angry. Somebody get wrong. I need to release this anger,
Yes.
and I don't want to do it on nobody. But I need to release it on somebody if they get wrong. Yeah.
The day that she passed, we knew it was pretty much going to be her last day. So periodically throughout the day, I called home, and I was at Coldwater. They had just cleared count, so it was almost 5 o'clock. I go get on the phone, and my old man answers, and I said, "What's up?" He's like, "She's gone. They've already came and got her, took her out of the house, and took her to the hospital. She's gone." And I just started crying. I told him, I said, "Listen, man, I'm sorry. I love you. I gotta go, And I hung up. I went, and it's 8-man cubes.
Yeah,
So,
I'm the same way. 8-man cube.
I don't want to, you know me already. I'm a very private. I don't, put my stuff out there like that too often. But I go and I basically find like the most darkest and cubbyholest part of the cube. I sit in the chair and I just start fucking bawling. And one of my cubies, who is actually from our way, comes in there. He's like, "Man, are you okay?" I said, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "Come here." And I stand up and he fucking grabs me in a bear hug. He's like, "It's okay, bro. It's okay. She's in a better place," because they all knew she was sick too. And this is a testament to the character and caliber of guys that you and I know both of us surrounded ourselves with.
Man, talk on it, because I know exactly where you're going with it, but talk on it.
So I had a visit that day from one of my cousins that wanted to come down to make sure I was all right. And like I said, it was the end of August 23rd. And I was also, I played softball and all that, so I was supposed to have a softball game, but I was on the visit. So I come back off the visit, and I see all these guys with pink bracelets on, made out of yarn. And I'm like, and they're all guys that I fuck with, that I played softball and shit with. And I'm like, "What's up with that?" And he's like, and the guys that really know me, they come up and hug me. It's like, "Bro, it's okay, man. We got you. Anything you need." And come to find out, one of my buddies went to the game, and every player on both teams asked them, "Hey, man, can I put a pink bracelet on you in remembrance of Mark's mom?" And they was like, "Yeah." And they got a card for me. I still got the card to this day. It's around here somewhere. But, every guy on the yard basically signed the card, and, just the guys that did it and the guys that put it together, I'll never forget. They definitely,
And
they looked out.
And that's one of the stigmas about guys in prison is that there is no genuality in there. There's
Right.
no love, you know. And me and you both have testimonies to where we can show the opposite. Because the same way with me, like after I left the counselor's office, I buried my face in my pillow and I cried like I'm in an 8-man cube,
Right.
right? So they see it, you know, they know something going on. And when I started opening up, the same thing. Guys embrace me, hug me,
Yeah.
man, like, dude, you know, we with you. And because the pain that me and you experienced with that, those guys could identify with it and pray that they didn't have to experience that.
Right.
So this is why they came to us in a matter they did. I remember going, before my mother passed, I remember going to guys that I knew
Yeah.
whose mothers had passed or dads had passed or grandfathers had passed that they were close to, and in their breakdown just embraced them and let them know, like,
And
listen, man,
doing the same thing.
Doing the same thing that I received from people that I know. You know, I want to ask you this because since we on that note, and it's like for me, I'll give a statement and I'll ask a question. For me, you know, when I finally touched the other side of that prison gate, that prison door, the first thing on my mind was my mother, and I made a dedication to make her proud. Right, even though she wasn't physically there when I was released, even though she knew I was getting out, but did you experience the same kind of thinking when you stepped on the other side?
Almost word perfect what you said. I stepped out and it was my aunt and my cousin that came and got me, and they were by their vehicle and they were trying to take pictures, and the officer was telling them, you know, like, look, you can't take pictures, no cameras, none of that. And they was like, okay. But when I stepped out and like the air just felt better.
Yeah.
It was still dark out. It was, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But I stepped out there and I just looked up and was like, I did it, mama. You know, I hope I make you proud. Almost word for word, like you said. I just said, I hope I make you proud with how I live the rest of my life not in prison, you know. And I think I am and have, and I mean, I'm doing pretty good for 6 months out, you know, and no work history, no credit history, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I got a good job. I got a 2018 car, you know. I got
the shit you bet 1,000. You bet 1,000.
I got a beautiful and wonderful girlfriend that has my back through everything. You know, not to get into too much about that, but like I told you, this was the girl that I was with when I got locked up. And we hadn't had any contact since I had been locked up other than in the county jail. Like, you might even remember her coming to visit me a few times when we were together. But she came to see me in the county jail, and then once I got, convicted and was getting ready to go to prison, I told her, you know, hey, look, you can't wait for me. You know, I don't know if I'm ever coming home. I'm about to go start a life bit, you know, and don't know how I'm going to do it or how I'm going to have to do it. You know, we heard stories. I'm going to hit you with a name that I know you'll remember, but his stories used to scare the shit out of me. Kevin Hunter.
I remember Kevin Hunter.
That motherfucker used to tell us stories that I'm just like, and he told us before we even went that you guys are going to the Hill.
Yep.
You better, you know.
Yeah, see, I remember Kevin Hunter. Yep. Because I think he had went to prison when he was with us on the Rock. Went to prison, then came back. And it was, and he was older. You're right. He was. Shit, if I'm not mistaken, he probably was our age now.
Right.
We
even
were 17.
A little older, maybe. Yeah,
leaving a little older.
But I just remember his stories about, you guys are going to go through quarantine at Riverside, but then you're going to MR, and you know, he'd tell the stories about gladiator school, and I'm like, man, I'm 17 years old, $160. I gotta gain some weight.
No, listen, I swear, I'll be out. You brought something out of my subconscious mind with bringing him up, because you're right. He would tell us that shit all day long.
That's all you ever talked about.
Talked about telling us how our life was going to be or what prison we were going to. And he was correct. Went to Riverside Correctional Facility, quarantine, and then MR. I left before you, but it was like really, months behind.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember when I walked into the chow hall at MR, all I hear is, Mark. And I look over there and you're like, hell yeah.
I remember, man, and like I say, that's the beauty of our testimony is that we, you know, I tell people all the time, man, you can't judge another person till you walk in their shoes, right?
Right.
That became a reality to me when I got locked up, served that time. Oh, I did over 17 years,
Yeah.
and then got out. Because to be honest, like, if it wasn't for the appeal, shit, me and you probably be getting out right now together because we both for the juveniles.
Right. Right. Yep.
We been under the same shit.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it just so happened that like I always like in these situations I interject God. God
Always.
had a bigger purpose, a bigger plan for us. Because like for example, I could have finished still there doing the time. You know?
I was locked up with him. I know.
Yeah. So you know, the roles could have been reversed.
Yeah.
So now that I've gotten my freedom, now that I'm here, right? I have to take advantage on the blessing that the Creator gave me. And I'm not gonna be perfect, in which He don't expect me to be. But there's a reason why we're here.
He was the only perfect one.
The
And you
only
see what
perfect.
they did to him.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a reason why we are here.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that if more guys coming out of prison understood that, especially coming up from under circumstances that me and you did, doing not a regular life. No, they told us die.
Right.
And then if you wake up out that death, you can get out. But you're dying behind these walls.
You know, the day, as a matter of fact, this is crazy too. It was April 1st, April Fool's Day was the day that I found out, of all days to find out, that I wasn't going to be serving life anymore.
Wow.
My attorney had a status conference with the prosecutor. So I waited until later on that day to call my girl and was like, hey, have you heard anything? Did the attorney get a hold of you? What's up? What are they doing? And she's like, well, what do you want to hear first? I said, stop playing with me. What's
Really,
up?
don't play with me like that, really.
She's like, well, do you want to know the agreement they made or when you'll be coming home? I said, will you just tell me what's up?
Yeah.
And she's like, baby, they agreed to 28 plus 2 to 60. So that's 30 total. With your good time, you'll be home in 9 months. And I started crying, and I started looking up. You know, I'm at Lapeer. I'm in the basement, the lower level at Lapeer. I'm looking up at the ceiling, like, you know, thank you, Mom, thank you, everybody, you know, thank you, God, you know. And one of my buddies walked by me, and he sees me, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm just tears just flowing. And he tells one of my other buddies, like, man, I think Red just got some bad news. And I actually cupped the phone. I said, no, bro, it's nothing but good, bro.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me. I'll tell you all about it when I get off the phone, but it's all good.
Yeah.
And I went back to talking, and my girl, the 15, you know, gave us that little 1 minute warning. And my girl was like, are you going to call me back? I said, no, I need a minute.
Yeah.
I need to, you know, take this in and let it, you know, absorb and soak it in that I'm not doing life no more, you know, because you have to change so much of yourself. And I was just telling Nora that my last year I was, you know, serving the sentence that they gave me and was in a level 1 and first time ever in level 1. I had to change my mentality of being a lifer to, motherfucker, you're about to go home in 9 months.
Yep.
You got to let shit slide. You got to, you know
bite your tongue with COs.
Yeah, you got to avoid certain officers, certain prisoners, you know.
Yeah, you do. I know that feeling all too well. It's like when I went to level 1, I was like, that's when it came real to me, like, okay, this is where everybody go home at. Ain't nobody here serving life. Nobody's here doing a lot of time.
Listen, I ran into a guy in the level 1 that I had been with like 15 years prior, and he sees me walking down the walk. He's like, man, they call you Red, right? And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, no, but your name's Mark Smith, right? I said, yeah. He's like, you don't remember me? I said, yeah, you look familiar. He's like, bro, we was at Saginaw like 15, 20 years ago. He's like, I thought you was doing life. I said, I was. He's like, you're under that juvenile, weren't you? I said, yeah. And he's going one way, I'm going the other. He stopped and was like, congratulations, bro. And then like 3 months later, he comes up to me. He's like, "Man, you don't even act the same." I said, because I had to, change how I
You
looked
do.
at my outlook on life
Mm-hmm.
inside to I'm going home, so I'm gonna be outside. I was an asshole.
You wasn't the only one. Shit.
Like people, that's what people called me. They was like, that Red's an asshole. Red tells you exactly whether you want to hear it or not. Don't ask Red for advice if you don't want to hear what he's gonna say. And I'm still blunt with people. Something my mom told me and my sister, and she was the same way. So it kind of cracks me up every time me and my sister talk about this. But we were on a visit one time, and my mom says, "I don't know where you two get it from that you're so blunt that you don't even care if you hurt somebody's feelings, that you tell them, what's on your mind and what you're thinking when they ask you." And we both kind of was like, "Really? You don't know where we get it from,
Really.
woman?"
It's hereditary. It's
Right,
hereditary.
right.
Let
But
me ask you this real quick, right? Because what I want to, communicate to people, right? Because, God forbid anybody has to experience the emotions that me and you had to deal with. Like I said, I did just over 17 years. You did almost like that 25, right?
yeah.
What was it like day one of being out?
Oh, I'm gonna send you a picture. My first day, because I was fortunate enough to go to a vocational village,
Okay.
and that's where I got my job through. I learned a hell of a trade, not a very good one to start out at 43 years old,
Mm-hmm.
but climbing trees in the middle of the winter near power lines is not ideal for a 43-year-old who
I ain't
just got
fucking with
out
it.
after 25 years. But
Yeah.
through that, I got to also take a CDL class and
Mm-hmm.
had my paper permit before I even walked out the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I still, or the test, I still had to go down to Secretary of State and take or get the actual paper before I could drive. So we went down there, and as soon as we left, and I had the paper, and they waived my 30 days and all that, I jumped right in. My old man's got an '03 Avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
I jumped right in the driver's seat and was like, yeah.
Are you
Now, that was the only thing that I was really nervous about
on day
before
one
I
being
came
out?
home.
Uh huh.
Was, well, just driving in general. Like how I was nervous about getting behind the wheel of a car after so long. That was
Yeah.
the only thing I was really like. You hear some guys or you hear people say like they can't be in big crowds, and that doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
I I love going shopping.
Yeah.
You let me Friday I get my paycheck. You better believe Friday night or Saturday morning I'm at Wally World. You know, I just went there today to get this computer,
Yeah,
but
bro. You text me.
I the first day out, like I said, I had my aunt and my cousin with me, and the first thing I wanted to eat because I knew it was going to be in the morning was the Baconator from Wendy's.
Oh, wow.
So we go like 2 or 3 exits down from where the prison was and get off and go to the Wendy's and get me a Baconator and a frozen coffee thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I eat it, and oh, it was so good. But
Was it?
oh, it was delicious. Now it could have just been because of it was the first real food I had in a long
Yeah.
time. But and then my cousin, not knowing the area, she gets back on the expressway heading back towards the prison. I said, "What are you doing? You fed me. Now you're taking me back?"
You
No,
really? No,
we had to
no.
do a U-E and get back on and go the other way. But the first day out, the first 2 weeks out, I couldn't sleep.
Nah, I couldn't either.
It was forgive me, millennials, for whether I'm using this in the right term or not, but it was FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was going to miss out on something.
Okay.
So I was up every day. I maybe got 2 hours of sleep, if that, for the first
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks. I would be up, especially like I got a phone my first day.
Me
And
too.
like I said, I had my permit, so I was driving. Anywhere we went, oh, I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not riding shotgun. I'm driving. I get to drive. I'm driving. But learning how to use a phone.
That was hard as hell, man. That was so, man.
Man, listen. Now, I had a little bit more knowledge because I got caught with one in prison.
Okay.
I had it for over a year before I got caught with it. But so I had a little bit, like I had seen Facebook and stuff like that, but
I didn't have none.
Oh,
none.
when I got that phone, and like I said, I was staying up. I'd be sitting in my dad's dining room. He'd come out to use the bathroom, whatever, and look and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Man, I can't sleep, so I'm talking to people."
yeah, man. No, like I said, it's crazy. It's like as soon as I got in the car when I was released from the joint, right? Now I heard about cell phones being in prison, right? I had never seen one, right? I was hearing that people had them, but you still didn't see it. So when I get out, my wife gives me a cell phone, right? I'm like, what the fuck I do with this? Y'all ain't gonna explain nothing to me, right? Y'all ain't gonna tell me how to get on it. And the thing that my wife still teases me to this day, she was like, "Do you remember we was riding home when I picked you up from prison? How loud you was on that damn phone?" I said, "Yeah, because it was so little. I didn't think that people. I'm used to the mouthpiece right here. I ain't up here. I didn't think that people could hear me. So that was a culture shock for me.
To this day, I won't talk on it like that because I feel like I can't. They're not gonna hear me, or I can't hear them because I'm constantly doing this. So I just put it on speaker. Like, yeah, bro, what's up?
No, I do mine on speaker all the time too, like all the time. Listen, let's go back a little bit, right? Because like I say, I know how you're gonna answer, but I want to give it out there because I know I had the same feeling, right? I don't want to talk about the verdict that you had, right? Because, like, for example, everybody's seen mine. That was the verdict. When you got sentenced to life, right? If you can remember, right? What was that feeling like when that judge said, "I sentence you to life without parole"?
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Knowing that my mom was sitting behind me and had to hear it and see it. And I even heard one of our cousins when the judge, and I didn't just get I'm sentencing you to life without parole. I got I'm sentencing you to die in the Michigan Department of Corrections.
Whoa.
You will not ever see the streets again. Life without parole. I got you are a danger to society. You are a punk. I don't care how old you were. If ever a chance comes that you can get out, I will object to it, which, I mean, he didn't have anything to do with it now, so it didn't backfire. It kind of backfired on him, but I heard one of my mom's cousins, as the judge was saying all this, say, "Oh my God." And I looked back and she was holding my mom's hand. My mom hadn't been in the wheelchair yet. While I was in quarantine, my mom had to have her leg amputated and was wheelchair bound since then. But she was, this was prior to that. And just seeing the look on her face, it was gut wrenching and heartbreaking. And I didn't want to, talk to anybody. And as they're taking me out of the courtroom, both of our cases were highly publicized.
There was,
so they're standing there, and one of the reporters says, and I'm not trying to talk. I'm crying. I'm shackled. I'm trying to be just hauled back upstairs to the holding cell and take me back to county.
Yeah.
All right, you gave me what you get. Let's start this bitch now. So, and I knew what I was getting, and I tried to explain to my mom that it was a mandatory sentence, but she didn't understand that. That's what was the most heartbreaking, is she still thought that right up until the day I got sentenced that there was a chance that I wasn't going to get life, even after I told her.
My mother was the same way. My mother was the same exact way.
Even after I told her, like, look, no, Mom, it's mandatory. They have to give me life. We'll appeal it. We got some good issues, it is what it is, but just her hearing it and seeing her reaction and then the reporter asking me questions, and I'm not trying to talk, so I'm being let out, and he says, you have anything to say to the victim's family, this and that, and then he just says, well, how does it feel to know you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison? And I kind of jerked away from the deputies and just gave him a look, and he, the look was enough, I guess, where he was just like, all right, we're going to leave him alone.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it really sank in because again, you hear the stories, and we were young, that oh yeah, life is 30 years. You know,
that's
second
what you
degree
do
is
here.
second degree is 20, first degree is 30. You know, and even when you tell somebody like, well, it says life without parole, and they're like, oh yeah, that just means you do 30 years and you go home.
We knew that wasn't true.
Well, we found out real quick it wasn't true.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I was reading up on it while we was in the county, so I knew then, like, oh shit, hold on. That's why I had the reaction that I had to the verdict. My sentence, and I was just like, okay, give me what you, like you said, give me what you can give me. Let's start this shit.
Right.
But mine was the verdict. When they said guilty, I'm like, whoa. Now, I know I was a piece of shit. Right. I know I was a piece of shit. No, not this. Hell no. I got a bunch of shit that y'all can go find and give me time for, but not this one.
Yeah.
You know. And so. And like I say, for me, my sentencing is still a blur because I was like you. Like, I remember the verdict like it was yesterday. But the sentencing, because I was like you, like, just give me what you're going to give me. I know you're going to, you know. I would say this, the only thing that messed me up in my sentencing was that the judge gave me life for armed robbery. I'm like, hold on, bro. Damn, this is my first offense. You giving me life across the board? Life across the board for everything? And, you know, so that, like I say, but that was the only part that I really remembered. Like, I was like you, like I said, I was just like, take me, let's go, let's get this over with. And so that I can start this appellate process.
Right. Well, I even told him, he was like, you got anything to say? And I was like, man, all was said at trial, rock out.
Damn.
That's pretty much word for word. I was like, all that had to be said was said at trial, man. Let's rock.
Man. Yeah, I was ready, because, like, I think when I got sentenced, the very next day they sent me to quarantine.
Yeah. The only reason why I didn't go the next day is because, ironically enough, the judge didn't sign the sentencing papers, so I had to sit in the county for 2 more weeks.
For him to sign it.
Right. And, funny as it is, because they had us both down waiting, me and my rappy, waiting to go to quarantine, they had filled both of our rooms on the separate floors that we were in. So when they had to put us back up there, they put us back up on the same floor as bunkies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
let me ask you this, and like I say once again, I know I can answer it for you, but like I said, I got an audience on 2 different platforms. But if you can recall, what was it like the minute when you first brought up to Riverside quarantine? Do you remember your thoughts then?
I remember more MR because of the wall.
Oh yeah,
than I do Riverside. What I remember, the main thing when we first got there, and kind of the most degrading thing, was when they put us in that cage and then was like, all right, give us our greens and our shower shoes.
That was terrible, wasn't it? You sitting there naked as hell.
Sitting there naked as a jaybird on a wooden bench.
In a cage.
Yeah. Like, I was in the pool.
Yeah. You're right, because you're right. When I went to Riverside, it was the same thing. The county took their shit from me, and I'm just sitting there trying to cover my shit.
Right.
With a bunch of other people from other counties.
Waiting for the lady to come give you a pair of blues to put on with no drawers.
With no drawers, and tell you what your number is. It's like, you're right, that was so degrading. They start breaking you mentally right then.
Right. First 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes, they start breaking you, because I'm literally sitting on the wooden bench. I know exactly what bench you're talking about.
Yeah.
People walking by while you're in this cage.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there trying to hide my shit, because I'm in there with a bunch of guys, and we all naked. We all doing the same shit.
No, now what's crazy though is, and I don't know about you, but me, I went from, like, trying to be bashful and hide my shit to, like, after 25 years of community showers, man, let it all hang.
I think for me, it still was like, and I know you can testify this, like, I still did the shit when I was in the joint. I took showers with my drawers on.
Oh, yeah. I washed them in there.
Yeah. With the bar of soap.
Yeah.
With them on. With them on. You wash them with them on. You take the towel, put it on your waist, take the wet ones off, squeeze them out so that they, and then you put your dry ones on, then that's when you take your towel off. Like, yeah. Man. So, so let me ask you this now, because, like, and this is one thing that I tell the story a lot, especially when I'm talking to people, before COVID, I was doing motivational speaking. And I give testimonies to about, for me in prison, it wasn't hard physically, if you understand what I mean by that. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have nobody pressing me. I didn't want nobody bullying me. No shit like that, right?
Right.
But for me, it was hard mentally and emotionally.
Definitely.
You know, talk about that for a minute.
The only like physical thing that ever happened was, and it wasn't, you know, there was never an altercation or anything, you know, like where we actually had to do anything, but was at MR. This, you know, older black dude basically cut into me. He sent a little note down, you know, he locked like 3 cells down from me. He sent a little note down, was like, hey man, I've been seeing you around, you know, the block, this and that, da 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 da. Well, I instantly was like, hey, what? Whoa. And he's like, no. You know, just keep it on, you know, keep that between us, and I'll holler at you when they break for chow. So I was like, all right, I know the rules. I sent some words down to my dog a few cells down the other way. It was like, hey, I need one of them things. And he sent one down to me. And as soon as they broke the doors, I hurried up and ran up to where dog's room was, opened it, stepped inside, had that out, and was like, listen, bro, no, it ain't that kind of party. And he's like, whoa, you know, I'm not into the whole forcing thing. I just thought, I was like, well, you thought wrong, and, you know, we're not going to have this issue no more, right?
Really?
And he was like, no. And honestly, I mean, never had another incident like that. Like, I, you know, never got, you know, somebody try to press me or nothing like that. But again, I mean, I always tried to be...
You wasn't no little motherfucker either, though, Mark.
Well, and I always tried to be straightforward.
You was a big motherfucker, man.
I've always gotten along with just about everybody.
I think you still weigh the same as you did when you were 17 years old. You wasn't no...
I always got along with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, like, I never let race be an issue. Whether I liked you or not, it didn't have anything to do with, you know, your skin color. There's plenty of fucking retarded white guys, you know, that I didn't mess with or didn't like, and or, you know, the guys that were into the drugs, I didn't mess with none of that shit. So stay away from me.
Same as me with black guys in there. Yeah, same shit. I mean, that goes to that part. Our relationship, motherfucker. Like I say, you've always been me. You've been brothers. Like, when we met each other, I think it was June of 1995 or July. I was in there in June.
Right, you got in June. You came in a month before me. I came in July, and we just instantly clicked. It helped that we were the only two that was on that floor that weren't on there for some bullshit. And we got to be out all the time. I remember going back there and playing ball, and, you know, just us hanging out, you know.
Yeah.
Fucking with Miss Banks.
Brooks. But you know, I seen all them motherfuckers since when I got out. I seen every last one of them deputies.
Listen, her specifically, her brother. I did a lot of time with.
He locked up. Kenny was locked up.
He actually went to the hole off a visit because their mom told him about some shit that her boyfriend was doing to her. So he asked her to come up and was like, yeah, I'll put your boyfriend on there. As soon as he walked in the visit room, laid her boyfriend out.
Damn. Oh, shit.
It was like, he gave little Miss Lips a hug and a kiss, and said, I love you, and I'm sorry, and turned and just laid him out.
Damn.
Yep.
So you know, and I agree with you, like we were talking about the, for me, I ain't gonna lie, I went to the hole for a few times. I was in that bitch a couple times, right? In there though, like for months, you know. But it was never because nobody was pressing me or nothing like that.
Right.
Like my reputation and how I carried myself in prison always superseded itself.
Right.
You know? Mine was just arguments either on the basketball court, you know, or the card tables and shit like that, and then we get into a fight and go to the hole. You know. Let me ask you this. Since you've been home, and once again, it's just a blessing that I'm even talking to you. You know, I mean, I still remember right before you got out, you called me.
Yeah.
And I was down here in Atlanta.
Yep.
You know, and you told me the good news, and I had to find you because I'm like, okay, this motherfucker got out, and this motherfucker ain't hit me up.
Well, I mean, don't think that it had anything that it just, and you know this, you understand it. Life moves so much faster out here.
It do.
I mean, there's a few guys that are out and locked up that are wondering why I haven't. Listen, you go from I haven't worked a manual labor job in 25 years.
Yeah.
Nothing we did in prison was actual manual labor. Now, I had a job the whole time I was in prison, and I had good jobs. I worked in laundry, I worked in kitchens, and that's work, but nothing like what this, and 10, 12, 16 hours a day,
Yeah.
still trying to, and when I first got out, I was on tether, so I had to try to make time when I wasn't at work,
I get it.
during my time out, to spend time with my girl, to get to know family members all over again, to,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you had your cousin message me.
Man.
And don't think that I wasn't going to get a hold of you eventually. It just
No.
shit, you go
I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you.
Oh, I know,
man.
but
I
you
get
go
it.
from maybe playing some cards or whatever and losing at the poker table like $30 to I pay $500 a month car payment,
Yeah.
$330 for insurance. It just
That's all priority. I get it.
right,
Trust me.
and it. Like I said, when I first got out, I didn't sleep because I was afraid I was going to miss something. I'm not still at that point, but just the days seem like they go by so much faster out here than they did in there.
They do.
Like
They
time
do.
went by so slow in there. You couldn't wait for every day to get over with.
To get over with. You go
And
to sleep
now-
early just to get it over with.
And now out here, you're like, man, it's already 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I got to get up and go to work in the morning.
Yep.
Oh my God. Responsibility. You definitely have a lot more responsibilities out here than you ever would even think of in there.
How much do you appreciate them?
Oh, listen. I would much rather, have these responsibilities than just be laying in a rack doing nothing, watching TV all day.
I agree.
My girl teases me all the time because I can't even make it through a movie. Like, you remember laying in your bunk watching movies all day long.
All day long.
So now we'll put a movie on, and halfway through I'll be,
Yeah.
and she'll have to wake me up like, baby, you want to, go lay down? I'm like, what? No, I wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm up.
No, I agree. Time do moves, that, like when I first got out, for me, that's what it was. I was having a hard time adjusting on how fast everything was moving. Like I struggled for this for like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I remember just taking a walk to the store. Like I just wanted to take a walk, even though me and my wife had a car. I just want to take a walk to the store, and the store was on the other side of Carpenter Road.
Okay.
And it seemed like the shit was moving so fast, I was scared to cross the street.
Yep.
I'm like, I couldn't even. It took me literally about 20 minutes to get across, get the nerve, and tell myself, okay, go.
You can go now. It's clear.
It seemed like the cars was just like,
I
going, and everything was moving fast. I mean, like, and so I agree, and that's what I think, like, one of my biggest problems, especially in America right now when it comes to criminal justice reform, is that, they have all these things in place to reduce time and, get people out, but they don't really have a lot for people once you get out. And I think one of the number one things that they should start implementing once you out is mental health.
Yes.
Because like, for example, I served over 17 years. You served 25. I know there's some shit fucked up in me still.
Yeah.
I'm going on 9 years, right? In October to be 9 years. But I know internally there's some shit. I come from a fucking fucked up situation growing up, right? Even though my mother worked for General Motors, she got high and shit like that. I grew up gang banging, got shot, went to prison, and then y'all just threw me in the world like, okay, figure it out.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna find a way to make some money. That's easy. That's the easy part, to make some money. But what about this baggage, this shit that I got on my back?
Right, to be comfortable.
Exactly, to be thinking properly. Where's the mechanism in place for prisoners when it comes to that?
I still walk into a room and I look to see where every exit is. I look to want to be in the, like the furthest back corner so I can see everybody come in. Like I said, I don't get uncomfortable in crowds per se, Like in a store, I go shopping all the time. I love to go shopping. I take my girl's mom shopping. You know, my girl won't even go. She can't. She hates shopping and she hates winter. She's a hibernator.
Oh,
So
okay.
I take her mom shopping all the time. And you know, one of our favorite spots is Big Lots. You know,
Yeah.
we hit up Big Lots and we spend an hour in there just looking at stuff, and can go back the next day and find something that we missed the day before.
Oh,
But
wow.
the stores didn't and don't bother me. You know, I was pretty comfortable with that off rip. But like just going into a house, like my first 90 days, because I was on tether, the only house I had been in is my own, because I couldn't go just hang out at people's houses. So when I got the tether off and was able to go see people, and actually they didn't have to come see me, we could, you know, I could come to their house. It was like, oh, wow. Oh, this is kind of cool, you know? Okay.
Yeah.
And again, fortunate I had and have people that, you know, like I got a cousin that as soon as I was off tether, she's like, okay, you got to come to my house and meet my kids, and, you know, they're going to love you. And sure enough, I went to her house. As soon as I sat down in the like little couch, her daughter came up and jumped right on my lap and was like, I know you. I've seen pictures of you for years, and just like all over me. So
It's an adjustment.
it's definitely, and I'm like you said, you're still doing it after 9 years. I've only been out 6 months, and I still, you know, like feel things that I have to get better at and adjust. And at my work, one of my crew foreman, we have a general foreman who is the head of everybody, and then each crew has their own foreman. My crew foreman he's only 27 years old. You know, like he was 2, still in diapers when I went to prison, you know, and he's young, he's very immature. He's always he and ha and, you know, telling, you know, jokes and shit. And we have to get an evaluation every month for our apprenticeship. And he gave me one where he said that Mark has an attitude problem, he needs to adjust and this and that. So I went to him and was like, hey bro, I don't understand why you wrote this evaluation like this. I don't have an attitude. He's like, well, you know, when everybody else is standing over here, you're over there. I said, okay, well, let me explain that to you, and maybe, you know, next time you'll write me a different evaluation. I said, I do have antisocial issues. I have an issue socializing, especially with people that I know I don't have anything in common with.
Man.
Like these 3 guys from our crew, you know, they're all young. All they want to talk about is getting high, or look at funny memes and shit on their phones. And I'm like, I don't do that. I don't do drugs. I don't. I barely know how to get on my own Facebook. And you guys are so young that we don't really have anything in common.
Nothing in common.
I mean, even music. I mean, look, I love YouTube. Because I can play whatever the hell I want. And my girl even said it the other day. She's like, you're so old, because I'm rocking Pimp C.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
As soon as I got the car, I had to get me a little system. I got 2 10s with a fucking 1,000-watt Alpine in it. And, you know, I'm listening to Pimp C. And
I'm on Pac still, so I get it.
I got that on there too. Look, Pimp C, Pac, Bone.
Yep.
You know, I throw some Snoop and Dre in there, but I mean, that's what we was raised on, and that's what I'm, you know, used to. A lot of this new stuff I can't stand.
I can't either.
So I don't even have music I can't even discuss with a lot of the younger guys that I work with. You know, it just, so I tried to explain that to him, and he was like, all right, well, we'll see how the next, you know, because every 30 days we get the evaluation. Well, the next evaluation he gave me, he was like, Mark has dramatically improved with the attitude. He's taking his job more serious. And I was like, okay, because I, you know, had one conversation with you, okay, whatever, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, other people see it, and, you know, but instead of asking me about it, he just decided to write the evaluation instead of coming and saying, hey man, you put off a little bit of an attitude, and these guys, they don't know how to come at you. But at the same time, I kind of get why they're hesitant, because, like, I don't hold them up when they're like, "You was in prison." Like, yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you do? I killed somebody. What?
Yeah.
What are you doing working with us?
Man.
They give you a chainsaw?
But and that's, like I said, it go back to my initial question. It's like, that is where the federal government, state and local,
Yes.
fail people like us, right?
Yes.
Coming home. It's like, we want to be here so bad, but
Right.
we got a lot of shit that
Yes.
we have not let go, that we haven't unpacked. We still got this monkey on our back from being in prison. Y'all expect us just to immediately snap back
Just-
into reality like
right.
that? And especially situations like me and you, we were kids when we went.
Right. Like,
We were
the
kids.
responsibilities I have now, I didn't have then.
Me either. No.
I didn't pay bills. I didn't,
No.
my only responsibility was, I had to be in the house by 2 o'clock in the morning, or I got locked out. So if I was going to be out past 2, I had to find somewhere else to stay. That was my responsibility. But yeah, they don't have the proper things in place for somebody, especially in our situations. And there's a lot of them coming out right now
Yeah.
in similar situations. Like, they're letting a lot of second degreers go on commutations, and they're letting a lot of long-term guys go. But, like, I got a buddy that just did 42 years. He's 60-something years old, and he had a commutation, and they let him go, and, like, literally just threw him to the wolves. And that's what they're doing. They're
That's what
throwing
they're
us to
doing.
the wolves.
Throwing us to the world, and in a world that's foreign to us. And like I always say this here, people like to say, well, I hope that person gets out and be rehabilitated, right? I argue with the word rehabilitated. First, you have to be habilitated before you can be rehabilitated, meaning you had to already been made fit for society first before you fucked up and then got a second chance.
Right.
Just about, I'll say, and I'm throwing a high number out there, I could be incorrect, but I believe this to be correct. I would say 95% of the people that go to prison has never been habilitated first.
No.
So,
Every now and then you'll get them white collar crimes, but
exactly. Somebody been to college and did some more white collar shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But
Then
for the
you're right.
most part, the motherfuckers from our way, and that grew up and lived the way we grew up, we was doing dumbass shit since we was 11, 12 years old. We never got
And thought it was the norm. And thought it was the norm.
Because
Thought
that's
it was
what everybody was doing.
Yeah, everybody was doing it. It was our environment. You walk out your house, like for me, coming up on the northwest side of Flint, gang banging was the norm.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you wasn't the guy gang banging, hold on, you a op, as they call it now.
Right.
We gonna pick a beef with you
Just because you're not doing it.
because you're not doing it. And so for me, I was into it because of my cousins coming from Chicago and stuff, giving us a game and stuff like that. That was the norm.
Yeah.
Selling drugs was the norm.
Yep.
Now getting out, I got locked up at 17, got out at 35. It's like, okay, what do I do?
Right, and they're
Right.
not telling you, they're not
No.
helping you, they're not giving you any type of, inclination of what we should be doing,
Exactly.
and it sucks because unless, and I'm going to speak for both of us, unless you're strong-minded and strong-willed, like I feel we both are,
Yeah.
it's one of the main reasons why a lot of guys come back.
It is. And not having that support and that love. Because a lot of guys in there, like me and you both know, I know guys in there that never hit store.
Right,
And they got a parole. So it's like, what you think he didn't have no support
right,
when he was in there.
right.
What do you think he's going to do when he got out? He just served, it's like 10 plus years.
Right, and going to public housing,
Yeah.
or community placement.
Yeah. It's like, what do you expect? It's like.
And you expect them to just go out there and, just do what you feel is the right thing. But in his mind, his right thing is, all I know how to do is hustle. So
All I know to do is hustle. Yep.
I'm gonna do that until I get caught and go back again.
And in order to reduce recidivism, like I said, I think that mental health has to be a priority from the federal government to state and local governments.
Definitely.
Like it has to be a priority. If that's not, then I don't give a damn what kind of, early release programs you come with, time cuts or what. If you take a person that grew up in poverty, grew up in the hood like we did, grew up in Flint, Michigan, right? Spent all these years in prison, because prison is toxic as fuck, right? It fucks with your psyche one way or another, right? It develops certain beliefs, and then you just throw me back into the environment in which I come from with nothing?
With nothing.
With nothing. Then you just expect me to make it? It's like, come on now. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, and I was fortunate that I met somebody that knew a guy that was the director of fixed ops at a dealership. That's how I got my first job.
Right.
Other than that, I had no connections on nobody with no job. You know, like I was going.
And that's kind of like, I fell into what I got.
Mm-hmm.
I got sentenced. A week after I got sentenced, the lady who runs the school at Lapeer calls me over to her office.
Mm-hmm.
I go in there. I'm like, what's up? She's like, you just got resentenced, right? I said, yeah. She said, you was serving life? I said, yeah. She said, I got an email last night at home telling me that as soon as I come in today to get you over and see if you want to be the first juvenile lifer accepted to Vocational Village. And I was like, what? Well, yeah. I said, I only got like 9 months left. She's like, yeah. You're supposed to have at least a year or more. She's like, they're making an exception for you because they want you to be the first one to be accepted and to graduate from Voc Village down in Jackson. I was like, hell yeah. And she's like, well, what would you like to do? And I just read the article where they did the grand opening for the tree trimming class. I was like, well, look, this looks pretty good to me. I mean, they're union, it pays good. I mean, I didn't know what I was in for, but that's what I chose. And she was like, all right, you'll be there within the next week. And sure enough, like, that was on a Thursday. That next Tuesday, they rolled me out and rolled me over there for that. So I was fortunate to have that. But even without, even though with the job and all that, it's still, there's a mental strain that guys, especially that did a lot of time, I mean, any time can really mess a guy up, but when you get into the 10s and the 15s and the 20s and the 30s, most of them guys at some point hit their breaking point. And, we definitely needed some type of mental counseling that they just aren't willing to give us.
And I agree, because, like, for example, with me, and I would say my blessing has come from, family and stuff like that since I've been home. But I lost my mother in there. I lost my father in there. I lost my grandfather in there. Like, my stepfather while I was in there. And it's like, that builds up anger, right? When you're going through this, like, it was times I was mad at God. Like, I'm watching people.
Why?
Why
did you do this?
Yeah, or why did you let this person get out? But it's like, me, my heart, where I'm at in life. Why do I have to struggle? And this person got it so easy. I'll share a story with you. When I was back on appeal, this is crazy, right? So I go for rearrangement. Okay, I'm handcuffed to a guy, right? Never seen him in my life. Older white guy. Never seen him. But you know how they handcuff you when they just want to run a bunch of y'all through, right?
Yep.
So I'm handcuffed to this guy. He goes first. I'm talking about this guy. He has one of the worst CSC cases I've ever heard in my life, right? I'm talking about molested some young girl, all kind of crazy stuff, right? And so the judge, I'm not going to say his name, but you know who he is. You know who my judge was. Gives this guy a bond and then let him go back to his home state of St. Louis.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, we handcuffed to each other, like, literally. So I'm at a point. I'm mad. And I'm looking at him like, you dirty motherfucker. You ought to beat your ass. You did that to that little girl because he taking a deal. So they reading it. He taking a no contest deal. So everything is just coming out while I'm standing there. Right.
Everything that he did.
Everything. He had to give a statement. You know what I'm saying? He gave a brief statement, but he played no contest. He didn't give a full one, but he gave a little brief one. So then they come to me, rearrange me. I hear people in the audience gasping. Oh. I'm like, hold on, what the fuck? Y'all didn't just hit him? It's like, hold on, man. He about to go back with this shit. He gonna do it again. This motherfucker is definitely going to do it again.
And
it's
that
a
wasn't
sickness.
the first time he did it.
No, it wasn't. And he get to go back to his home state. He did this shit in Michigan, right?
Wow.
In Genesee County. But now he get to go back to St.
Missouri.
Louis, back to Missouri. And I'm looking at it like, why am I the worst fucking person? Why y'all looking at me as the worst person in the world when he's fucking over life before it even begins?
Yeah.
And he get all the breaks. Get all the breaks.
Yeah.
And so that kind of shit right there had me like literally having a conversation with God, but questioning God like, this is the person that you're going to put back into society? This is the person you're going to give this blessing to?
Right.
But I know people like myself that if we got this opportunity, we would make great. We would do some good in this world. Because this guy definitely going to do it again. If he like little girls then, he like them still. He like them still.
Right.
And like I say, that part is like I've never had the opportunity to detox, if that's the right word to use. Just letting it out.
Yeah.
Talking with somebody that's not judgmental, that don't know me. But I want to do it, but I got to pay for it. And it's like, do I pay $200 to go talk with somebody at this point in my life, or do I pay this $200 on my car note?
Right.
It's like,
well, and on that note, I think what we're doing right now is very therapeutic.
It is.
My sister said something to me a couple months ago. She was like, have you thought about, seeing a therapist to kind of get out what happened to you, you know? And I was like, honestly, no, because therapists, all they do, their whole job is to just sit and listen. And I think that I have enough people that do that now. Like you said, that I don't have to pay.
Yeah.
I can lay in bed with my girl and talk all night long. I can go sit out at my dad's and talk to him, And I told my sister, I said, honestly, I don't know how you feel about it, but I can call you if I ever feel like, I'm down or, and she's like, oh yeah, anytime. She's like, I just know that it helps me. I said, well, what helps some people doesn't always help everybody.
And I agree with that. I agree.
And again, mine is more of a stubborn and
you've always had that.
Well, it's a pride thing that, my biological dad's family, they were all manic depressive bipolars and they say it's hereditary and this and that, so I've always kind of like not let myself get to where I'm letting people know like, man, I'm just so down. No, I'm not gonna. No, you're gonna see the smile when you see me.
I agree. Regardless of what I'm going through, you're gonna see this smile.
Yeah.
And I think that if you could take, I will say this here, and I know you can agree to it. There are some positives that come out of prison. There are some positives.
Yeah.
And I think that's one, picking yourself up by your bootstraps is one. Because in prison, it's like, if you depressed or you down, it don't change your reality.
No, 9 times out of 10, the 7 other guys you're in the queue with don't care.
No, they don't give a shit. They give 2 shits what you going through.
It's got to be really something like, what we both experienced with our moms where, but other than that, like, and I was the same way, like, don't come to me with your relationship bullshit. I don't want you're down because your girl's getting dick down. Okay, you didn't think that was going to happen? You know? They call sport coat for a reason.
For a reason. Really. No, but I agree. And it's like, let me ask you this, like, speaking of relationships, right? For me, I came home and I got married to I would say somebody that I've always liked. I've had that privilege, right? She came around my last 4 years of prison. we made a commitment with each other. Then when I got out, we got married, right?
Okay.
How has being in a relationship, like you explained a little bit earlier, you know, how you and your girl got reconnected. How has that been stabilizing for you? Or how has it helped?
Oh, it has helped tremendously because again, it's another, you know, responsibility. She, like, I live with her. We live together. Her and she has 2 kids that live at home still, and her mom. You know, and it just when I'm not gonna say that I haven't had, you know, like the thoughts of, man, I just want to go out and fucking do something stupid, but then I'm like, no, you can't do that because you have responsibilities. You have a family, you know. I got a buddy that he's just a straight clown, and he still hasn't grown up or learned, you know. And he's got a 10-year-old daughter, and I love his daughter to death, you know. But when he starts doing stupid shit and then wants me to come hang out, I have to tell him, like, no, I can't do that. And he's like, what's up? I'm like, man, you know, I'm on parole. I have other responsibilities. You know, you have responsibilities that you shouldn't be doing that, but I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do. But she has definitely been the most stable person in my life since I got out. You know, she has not wavered. I mean, this is going to sound kind of crazy, but just off the top of my head, I can't think of a single, like, argument we've been in since we've been together and since I got out. My sister, when me and her first got together, my sister wasn't a big fan of it and hit us with, you're not 17 anymore, you know. And I was like, no, I'm 43 and still feel the same way that I felt about this girl when I was 17. So that tells me a lot about her and me, and that, you know, that the feelings just never left. They got put on the back burner
because of circumstances.
Right, because of circumstances. And she's definitely been a blessing.
That's good.
You know, she keeps me on my toes. But she also lets everybody know, like, hey, you know, like, certain situations will come up and she'll be like, no, he can't do that, and if he gets in trouble fucking with you, I'm fucking both of you up.
I mean, that's always dope. That's always dope. And that's what I said, like, I wanted you to come on my podcast and, like, you know, share your story, because I think that it's inspirational. You know, I mean, I can tell your story for you, but nobody can tell it better than themselves.
Right.
You know, and our relationship. Go ahead.
Well, I'll say, like you said, our relationship and our stories are as similar as they are. There is a little, you know, a few differences that, you know, make them our own unique stories. But like you said, we could sit here and you could tell mine and I could tell yours, but it's not going to sound the same if we tell our own.
Yeah.
We grew up together. You know?
We did. I mean, it's crazy that, you know, we both from opposite sides of town, different circumstances, but for a very large chunk of our life, the story is the same.
Yeah.
It's the same struggle. You know, like me, you always say, the only thing different about us is our skin color.
Yeah.
That's it. People can judge that all they want to, but our life stories is the same. We can each just switch shoes, switch environments, and it's the same fucking story.
I don't know. I know you got small feet. I don't think yours will fit in these.
No, they won't fit in them. No. I'm barely pushing a 9. I'm barely pushing a 9, right? So, you know, but, you know, and this is one reason, like I say, like, when I got out, you were somebody that I made sure that I hit back up.
Oh, definitely. Listen, you don't know how happy I was. I can't remember dude's name for the life of me now. He was a juvenile lifer. He was at Coldwater when you first got on my JPay. And me and him had talked about you prior, and as soon as I seen that you was on there, I went to him, I was like, man, you ain't gonna believe this. Corey hit me up, bro. And he was like, what, for real? I was like, yeah, man, that's my dog. Oh. You know, I was just so happy when I got on there and seen that on there. I was like, man, that's, you know, so I was glad that you was off parole and all that. And, you know, it just, like, that, for real, made my day, bro. When I seen that, I was like, oh, yeah, cool. And then after you telling me, you know, what, you know, you had been doing, and then we talked on the phone, you know, I was like, yeah, that's good.
I mean, you always been somebody that's been, you know, solid with me, 100. And so when I got out, I had a short list of people that I wanted to make sure that I reached out to and let them know that I still had love for you. You know,
Right.
Don't forget that just because I got out, you know, I forgot about you. And of course, you were one of my top 3, right? And it's like, and then especially when I found out that you were getting out, I'm like, oh man, God is the truth, man.
Right.
My bro getting out, because I know your heart, I know you. Like I said, I know our mothers know each other. You know, see, you know, you knew my mother, I knew your mother. It's like, how can I just get out here and just let that be?
Right.
You know, trust me, there's a bunch of guys in there that I know that I still haven't hit up yet. Right? And 10 times out of 10, I'm not. Right? But it's just certain people that you come in contact with throughout life, and you have to hold that, because you understand that these people crossing your path is bigger than both of us as individuals.
We cross paths for a reason.
Exactly, for a reason. I mean, keep in mind, like, it's like me and you was on the 3rd floor in the county. Like, what the fuck, we was here and on the 3rd floor. It's like they could have put one of the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't ask to be down there. Right. You didn't ask to be there, and it was like when we met, it's been good. I mean, think about it. Like, we didn't play ball, been on the yard with each other, worked out, and like even now, we've never had a confrontation. We've never had an argument. It's always been brotherly.
Right.
You know, and so when I got out, I made it a point, like, I have to reach out to certain people that I got a lot of love for. And you were one of the ones, man. And that's why I say, like, to this day, I'm just so ecstatic, man. I'm just so happy that I can text your motherfucking ass, man. I ain't got to wait for you. I don't have to wait and wait for this to ring and say, you have a prison call. It's like I can get up in the morning and text my dog. Yeah, press 0.
You're being pressed.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta put some money on the phone. Mark trying to call. Like, I don't have to do that. Like, I can text my brother and be like, how your day going? You could text me back like, what's going on, Corey? How your day going?
Yep.
Like, that is the beauty of it. And like I say, it's my purpose is to these people that I've crossed paths with, to connect with and have an impact on the world, man. Like, in some kind of way, you know, because I think that's why we are here. I really believe our stories are not necessarily for us to really benefit from, but for some young person out there in the world. Exactly. You know, like Tupac said it. Tupac said that he don't believe he's going to change the world, but he's going to spark the brain that's going to change the world. And I believe that me and your stories is going to spark that person that's going to do something, you know, great, paramount in this world, because they heard us.
I'm actually in the midst of, when I first got out, the main people, like the Catholic charities, were connected to the program that I was in. So I went and seen them, and they helped me with my work equipment, my boots and my chainsaw pants and my high vis and stuff. Well, I got to be pretty tight with the guy that runs it, and they are doing an article on me about a successful, you know, a guy on parole who's being successful, and he's setting it up for me to go talk to, like, at the Playhouse.
Okay.
To the young guys.
That's good.
Because, you know, I mean, they're 14, 15, 16 years old, and even if they're not in the same shoes we were in, they're heading down that path.
They're heading down that path,
When I was at Lapeer, I was I forget the proper term for it, but basically I watched the guys on Suicide Watch. I was an aide to, you know, so we sat there and every 15 minutes wrote what they was doing and gave them somebody to talk to if they wanted to talk. And a lot of them, Lapeer split up to where they have all the young guys in the back and then all the adults on the other side. Well, a lot of the guys that were on suicide watch, if I can remember right, there was only one adult that was ever on suicide watch that we had to look after. The rest of it was all them kids. And you would hear in their voice and their mannerisms would change when I'd be sitting there with them and I'd be like, look, man, I was doing life. And they're like, what? I said, man, I was 17 years old. I was the same age you are right now and was given life without parole, told to die, that I wasn't nothing but a punk and I deserved to die in prison. And now here I am sitting with you telling you my story and I'm going home. And a lot of them would keep asking questions like, well, how, this and that. And I just try to be as real with them as I could and be as, explain it the best I could. But hey, you need to really sit back and, look at what you're doing and where you are right now. You're in the hole with a Bam Bam suit on.
Yeah.
With 3 years left. What are you going to do with your life when you get out? You're going to go back to, again, the gangbanging or the selling dope or, the dumb shit. One kid was in there for video living Facebook while these girls jumped this other girl. And, they beat the hell out of this girl. And he ended up getting sent to prison just for video living it. And I was like, what was you thinking? What did you think was going to happen? You just showed the whole world this shit going down. You didn't think that you would get in trouble for that? And he was like, no. I said, and that's the same mentality I had.
Yeah.
But coming from experience, hopefully you take with you when you do finally get out or even get out of here and go back to GP. Like, sometimes some things you gotta let go. You can't be a 40-year-old fucking gangbanger.
No, I know some to this day, and I'll be like, I can't fuck with y'all. How you gonna be still doing the same shit when you were 17, right? Listen, this is what I want to do. We're an hour and a half into this, and like I said, we're gonna wrap that up.
Okay.
One thing I want to tell you though is like, man, get involved with those programs, right? Like I know some people that once we off, I'll text you. You know what I'm saying? I can get that. I can contact them, and because they need to hear these stories.
I have no problem telling it. If it will help just, one person or even just make them second guess or just think for a minute, like, man, should I do this? I mean, I just heard this dude say how he was doing life. And, if just one, I know that's kind of cliche-ish, but if it just helps one person, then,
But that one person can be the next Barack Obama. Who knows?
Right. Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? The next whoever, the next Steve Jobs.
Hey, you want to hear something funny?
Go ahead.
I told my girl, well, I told everybody this, but I told my girl just recently, I said, the next tattoo I get is going to be of Barack Obama. I'm going to get a portrait of Barack Obama right on the inside of my thigh, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be home. He is the one that appointed the 2 Supreme Court justices that flopped that vote to go in our favor for me to get resentenced. So I owe that man a debt of gratitude.
That's right. You can argue about his politics all you want to, but like you're right, that helped you. Yeah. That helped you get out. You're right, because if it was 2 other kind of judges up there, we ain't got to get into the semantics of it.
If they would have waited until Orange Face was in office,
you wouldn't get out. You wouldn't have done it.
No, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you like this.
Listen, and trust me, man. Like I say, if it wasn't, one thing I will say this here is like I was always emphasizing this with people that when I was back home in Michigan, I was doing my motivational speaking, and still to this day, our cases are rare. You hear more about people been locked up 40, 50 years, still serving life without parole, than those getting out.
Right. Oh, definitely.
And so I try to tell young people, like, don't think that you can get out in these streets and do some crazy shit, get locked up, and then think you can just appeal it. Right. It don't work like that.
Or that they're just going to come, 20 years down the line and be like, oh, we messed up.
No, they don't work like that.
We are a rarity.
We are an exception. We're an exception to the rule.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. But we're taking advantage of that as well.
Yeah.
And I love what you're doing. Um, I appreciate everything that you've done for me, and just in general, the direction you took your life,
I
because
appreciate
you are
that.
definitely shining.
I appreciate
You
that.
know,
It mean a lot. Trust me, it mean a lot coming from you. Somebody that I hear that all the time from people on Twitter and shit like that. But somebody that know your character, know your heart. That mean a lot, man. And I appreciate that. I mean, it's just motivation to keep going. And hopefully that. I ain't gonna say hopefully. No, we gonna do this shit. We gonna do this more often.
definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Not
So that
hopefully, definitely.
definitely,
Like I'm having fun right now. This, like you said, it's been an hour. That's another one of them went by so fast. It's been an hour and 36 minutes,
yeah.
and we just been sitting here chopping it up.
Yeah, and so, like I say, man, bro, listen, continue to do it. Like, we need more people like you. I mean, keep in mind, like, if me and you doing it together, right? Black, white, yellow, brown.
Yep.
There's no excuse, right?
None.
You can't say that one party or one particular group is doing it more than the next. No, we're doing this shit together.
We're doing it together.
We're all in this shit together, and so it need more people like me and you to come together and show the world, regardless of what's going on in the world with politics and all that dumb shit. No, the streets need help. The streets need examples. They need OGs. They need leaders. Somebody that can give them guidance and direction on what to do in life.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say, like, once I end this, like I said, I got some people that I want to put you in contact with that you will love. They put you in the right places to talk to schools and all that, different
Definitely.
programs. And I think that'd be a good start for you, because like I did it before I left Flint. I was doing it all throughout the schools, and I was grateful for the responses I was getting. I was literally getting emails from mothers like, I appreciate you talking to my son, my daughter when you came up to the school, because now they don't want to go down that path no more. They told, and so just hearing the stories,
Yeah.
and a lot of times that works. Because nobody really gave us the game about prison growing up. Like, nobody tell us, you young motherfuckers keep doing this shit, you're going to prison.
Right.
No,
The only person that ever told me that, and he still reminds me to this day, is my stepdad. About 6 months before I ended up doing what I did and coming to prison, he did tell me. He's like, look, man, you're on a path where you're going to either end up dead or in prison.
Man.
And you need to get off it as quickly as possible. And I didn't listen. And because I didn't listen, he brings that up all the time. While I was in prison, he'd be like, I told you. And since I've gotten out, he'd be like, I tried to tell you.
You know what? I stand corrected. I heard it from family members too, right? But they wasn't peers.
Right.
So we didn't take them seriously.
Right.
We didn't take them seriously.
No.
If
somebody that had experienced it.
Exactly, but I'm hanging with the peers. Like, okay, none of my dogs, they ain't got locked up yet. So what the fuck is you talking about? Like, that was you and them old timers. We doing something different over here.
Right. They getting away with shit that I ain't nowhere near doing, and they, so I'm straight. And then all of a sudden, it all comes crashing down.
Yeah, it do. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, my brother, man, I appreciate it. Let me just go ahead and wrap this up, and like I said, we're gonna be able to talk once I end this live. Listen, everybody that's out there listening, especially on Libre TV. Appreciate y'all tapping in. The replay is always available on Periscope and also on Libre TV. The audio of this podcast will be available tomorrow morning on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And there's a bunch of other ones. I ain't gonna say their names. I don't listen to them or what the fuck they're about. But whatever your listening platform you can find podcasts on, Corrected Felon Podcast is going to be on there. And y'all witness tonight. This is why I call it Corrected Felon. Right? Not convicted felon, corrected felon. Right? We can never separate the felon. That's always going to be there. But we can put something before it.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? And I choose the word corrected because we corrected individuals. We out here making strides. My bro up there with his family, working good. Got the Piston shirt on. I don't know why he rocking that shit, but I still root for him too. I ain't gonna lie. I still root for him, but they shit.
Oh, listen. I was so mad when they even got Blake Griffin.
Oh, man. Listen, they shit, but I still rock with them down. That's all I got down here in Atlanta is Michigan clothing. That's all I got. Michigan, Pistons, Lions, Red Wings.
I was just gonna say I wore a Lions jersey to my to the Super Bowl party.
Man, I still rock with them. That's my home state. But you know, hey, they ain't shit. I ain't gonna lie. Just like these Atlanta teams ain't shit either. So I ain't gonna lie. Also, to everybody, tap in. You see the ticker down there, Middle Passage Media. Go ahead and grab your nice hoodie. Grab your shirt. Your boy got merch. I appreciate all the donations that y'all give me, because the only thing I do is further it to advance Middle Passage Media and Corrected Felon Podcast. So also, to real quick housekeeping before I go, tomorrow 7 p.m. Brown Paperback Podcast with my bro Saul G. Tap in. Y'all know this. That's the illest podcast on planet Earth, and I say it just like I spell it, EARF. Earth. It's the livest one. We talk about everything dealing with relationships to parents and to all that. So tap in. Once again, I want to thank my brother Mark for coming on. Y'all gonna get more of this, because like I said, we trust we could really do this shit to 5 in the morning.
We really could.
You know, the stories we could tell about prison, that may be the next one. We go into prison stories, you know, just to give a little culture shock. But until next time, I appreciate everybody tapping in on Libre TV. Go check out everybody over there on Periscope. The replay gonna be available soon as I end this. And like I always say, I pray that everybody have a blessed day on purpose.